Bitcoin, and if they're a regular dumper anyway, sure, there might be some sell pressure leading up to the Mt. Gox dump.
Does the
But then
Mt.
again, if
Gox
everyone's
go into
expecting,
ETH or anything else, or do they cash out and run? That's the other question of that.
That's a good question, right? So imagine if you were holding Bitcoin back when was the Mt. Gox hack? Back when it was like $1 or something, and it crashed all the way to a penny. It was cheap, super cheap. So those people are up massively. Imagine throwing $1,000 into Mt. Gox, and then your Bitcoin got hacked and you lost your $1,000. Here we are years later, and even though you only get a fraction of your coins back, you're still up, a million X or whatever it is, right? You're still up. You're still a mega millionaire off of your money. To assume that you're not gonna,
Mt. Gox has saved them, saved their weak hands.
yeah, it's super ironic, right? So imagine, like, what kind of people were those? Maybe those people don't even play around in crypto anymore. Like, maybe some of them are still around. Who knows? Maybe the Mt. Gox thing scared them all away. So now they're just coming into a big sum of money and they're ready to dump and get out. Like, nobody really knows until it happens. But if you went from whatever you're worth now to having many millions of dollars land in your account, worth of Bitcoin, I think any reasonable person who comes into that instant money would dump, and not necessarily dump into a different crypto, because that doesn't do anything for them. Everyone wants a better lifestyle, cars, they want to pay off their bills and all these things, right? So when you come into millions and millions of dollars in a split second, there's a high probability that you're just going to dump and take a lot of those profits.
But let's just say, hypothetically, Jesse, these people are aware, right? They've been aware for a while, and they know that they're going to come to a sum of money soon. Do you think, maybe some of them won't, but let's look at the majority, or at least the informed majority. Do you think they're willing to go into a asset that is seeing one of the highest inflations in history right now, which is the US dollar? Do you think they would be going into something, well, at least with less inflation or no inflation?
But,
especially if we're talking millions.
well, unless you're the most extreme form of maxi, you get into crypto so that you can get out of crypto eventually. Not entirely, but like, what, you can't do anything with Bitcoin. There's very few things you can buy with it. Like, so if you want to improve your lifestyle and own a home and have cool cars or do this or that, just holding Bitcoin just so you can look at it in your wallet doesn't do it for you, right? You've got to sell it eventually. You got to sell all crypto eventually.
Back then, during Mt. Gox, is going to be multimillionaire today. I don't know what kind of purchases you're going to do today if you cash out to spend all that money and not have it sit in the bank or US dollar in general. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I do think that they might be spooked by Bitcoin in general by now. Maybe. I don't know. But looking into other assets for sure.
Well, it wasn't Bitcoin that fucked them.
Yeah, get it, but you know what I mean.
So they might just not like the whole, it could have rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. They could have ran it.
They're going to stay away from centralized exchanges, that's for sure.
Bitcoin's down to what it was 5 years ago, right? So you could have held dollars for the past 4.5 years and done better than if you had stuff in Bitcoin for the past 5 years. So when we say, would you like a depreciating asset like the dollar? Yeah, it loses purchasing power every year. Bitcoin's just done the same thing. It's lost purchasing power from what it was 5 years ago. There's a select
I think it's
group of
safe to
people
assume
that sold the top. Like if you sold 50 or 60K or 69K or whatever, okay, you're doing good. But guess what? You're back in either another crypto or stablecoin or fiat again.
Okay, so I think it's safe to assume that people would sell. I think it's better to assume that they would sell at least 90% of what they're gonna hold. And then if they don't sell, that's just a bonus. Cool, but let's just assume that they will sell. Let's just say that it's like 120,000 Bitcoins that's gonna be sold. Miners in total, they hold like what, 800,000 or something, or 1 million. Maybe someone can correct me here. But I'm just interested in cascading effects. Like if they're going to sell prior to them or after them or in the midst of them, maybe there's going to be some other thing going on at the same time. And that can create a lot of panic. So I can see the price going down amidst all of that to like 10K or something, 11K. But after that, we're definitely going to have a nice run up.
Be super precise. Compared to 5 years ago, they are up 20%, which you can't say about the US dollar. Especially over 5 years, the inflation is going to fuck you exponentially. So I don't agree with that, but of course that's just one specific time frame.
Right, but that's only because Bitcoin has pumped for the last week or so now. It was
you get my
at
point. We're in a range,
right.
So
and you're comparing against the dollar.
Yep.
So while you say it's up 20%, since you're comparing that against the dollar, it's not really up 20% at all because it's also lost the same purchasing power that the dollar would have lost.
Which is why I don't even want to talk about dollar and Bitcoin. I want to talk about other assets. And honestly, why not? Let's look at ETH BTC, for example.
But it's hard, right? Until people start selling things in crypto assets, like with values that fluctuate based on crypto, everything's going to be compared against the dollar, right? When you can go to Walmart and you can see that a gallon of milk is 0.01 ETH or whatever it is, and then the next day it's 0.01 0.05. Okay, it's just too hard for the brain to comprehend, and so like everything's.
But as a whale or a future whale, right? Like or I don't know if you want to call anyone in Mt. Gox a whale, but potentially a whale, you're gonna want another type of store of value, and certainly US dollar is not going to be it, unless that's what you're telling me right now.
No, I mean, because crypto appreciates. It just compared to the dollar. But that doesn't mean you get given a huge sum of something, and you don't sell it out to $1 just because it may appreciate in the future.
Yeah, it's all about what they're going to convert that dollar into. That's what I'm saying. You're saying yachts, houses. Okay, I mean, there's only so much you can buy in a single day, week, month with that amount. And also, I don't think smart people are gonna do that. Buying liabilities. I think they're gonna buy assets.
Who said all these people are smart?
Yeah,
You need to spend the money right away. Just, I don't know. People are going to do what they're going to do.
I mean,
you can speculate
that's doomsday
any other
talking.
way.
I mean, what if? I'm just talking super hypothetically. What if some of them come out publicly once they are for sure that they're getting their, they already got them. I mean, maybe not, right? Maybe none of them will dox themselves. I don't know, but maybe some of them will, and they will advocate for proper DeFi and speak out against centralized exchanges. Who knows, right? I'm just dreaming.
We all are.
It's really unfortunate that we say people gave up their keys. People don't really give up their keys. When people participated in Celsius, they simply sent their coins, to Celsius wallets. It's not.
They never had the keys.
Yeah, they never had the keys. You never gave your seed phrase to Celsius, right? But for some reason, we like to say it like that. People give their keys away. That's more like they give their coins away. That being said, though, I think people should have been able to see this a lot earlier with Celsius. They were promising an 8.5% yield, and they would take people's crypto and they would invest it in Aave, and Luna, and Curve, and Maker, and all these different things, and DeFi themselves. And when you poke around on these DeFi platforms, you couldn't find anything you could find a random thing that paid you 8.5%. You could find a random thing that paid you 20%. But like the average across all these platforms was far less than 8.5%, especially for the types of coins that people like to send to Celsius. Like they had a lot of USDC. Like people would send a lot of USDC there, and USDC, it's hard to get a good return on USDC. Like you're lucky to get 3%, maybe 4 if you do it right with pairing a stable to another stable and do it in curves and stuff. But like the math literally didn't add up. They were paying a yield that was unsustainable. And then every now and then, one of the platforms that they were investing in, there'd be like a bridge hack, or there'd be the protocol would lose all the money or whatever. So then there's billions of dollars less that they had. But the yield always stayed the same, 8.5%. It was literally a Ponzi. They were not earning the yield that they were paying. It was just more and more people coming in and them taking other people's money and giving it to the new people.
Yeah, people don't care. That's the thing. Like I was wondering the other day, like what's going on in general. Like there's only 2 reasons. A, people don't understand, which is to me more likely, or B, cognitive dissonance. Especially with crypto in general, like people do not understand why it was invented. Maybe they don't care. Maybe they don't care, or maybe they don't understand. But it's either one of those two. You can't tell me it's anything else, right? If it's only a number go up, then they don't understand, or they don't care. And if you don't care, then you have a problem, because then you say, well, I'm okay with middlemen like banks holding my assets for me, which is then why are you in crypto at all? Like the whole point of it was to not have that situation, right? Well, right now it seems to be people do not give a fuck. They just want returns. And apparently crypto is just outperforming everything else. So, but they don't understand why. So it's absolute cognitive dissonance, or just lack of understanding what the fuck it's all about.
They're either gonna quit the game now, or they're gonna be more seasoned next run.
Yeah, people learn in the bear market. They don't give a fuck in the bull market. They're just like, oh, number go up, buy. Don't care how it works. Don't care what it does. Don't care why it was invented. And then once they get wrecked, they're like, oh, wait. What was it about?
But with regards to the earlier conversation about people not understanding how you secure your own crypto and stuff, and they just like to click buttons, like everything ease of use is like attractive to the eyes. I don't know. It's kind of bullish.
Yep.
It's an indicator of how early we still are.
Well, I would argue that being your own bank is bound to be difficult because you have responsibility. You can probably make it easier going forward. I'm personally not sure how much easier it can get, but I guess we'll see. But you can't, I'm sorry to say, like, you're not gonna get out of having some responsibility, securing yourself, keeping your keys safe. Like, these things are not, ooh, like, just tell me quickly in 1 minute how to do it. I don't want to think. Sorry, man, it's not it's not gonna happen. Even in 10 years down the road. Maybe I'll be wrong. I hope I'll be wrong.
Yeah, I think there's definitely going to be a little element of difficulty because there has to be. Like, it's so complex. Like, there's so much responsibility here that it must be complex to a little level at least, you know. But I'm more than confident that the process is going to be dumbed down, so the majority will be able to do it. But it would still require some responsibility in order to keep it secure.
I mean, you can't get around the fact that you're not going to have somebody else saving you, right? It's just you.
Yeah, it's liberating and scary at the same time, you know, because if you make one little mistake, you can't call anybody and say, hey, I made a mistake. Can you please revert something? Can you please save me? But at the same time, you also don't have to ask for permission to do anything. It's very beautiful.
You only have yourself to blame, and I think to some people that's extremely scary. There's a reason they go to centralized exchanges and trust themselves.
So the question is, will Mashinsky create something on Pulsechain?
Well, what makes you ask that question?
I don't know, it was just a joke, man.
I don't think he's going to touch anything that has decentralized written on it.
So I wonder how many projects on Ethereum that have built out their, they realized their idea, but because of the congestion, they can't make their, game or application or whatever run sufficiently enough to onboard a lot of people and, start building ecosystems. So I wonder how many of those exist, but they're just like behind the scenes at the moment, and whether or not they see Pulsechain as a savior or as a potential, a potential world, quote unquote, that you can realize your idea in.
Well, they're all either dead or sitting on side chains with shitty L2 tech, and either they put all their money in that shit to save them, or indeed they will see Pulsechain as a viable alternative, or wait for Ethereum sharding. Those are the 3 options I see. Hopium for L2 to become like the new reality, which I fucking hope not. Or Ethereum to get to sharding faster than, well, sooner than later. Or Pulsechain. My money is on Pulsechain, literally. But of course, I'm also very bullish on Ethereum solving sharding like within who the fuck knows how many years. 2023, 2024 maybe. Solving scaling, sorry, via sharding.
The sentiment is changing though among influencers slowly. I sense this. You go browse through Twitter, see what some of the people are saying over and over. Like I was super surprised the Twitter spaces that Richard was in when that guy, he was complaining that Richard was cursing. Like these guys, they have no clue what Pulsechain is. Like zero idea, dude. They're just sitting there with their monkey pictures and talking. They got absolutely no clue what Hex is, what Pulsechain is, none of that stuff. But then at the same time, you see that the sentiment, for example, from BitBoy starts changing. He says that he's dreaming about Richard Hart, that he loves Richard Hart. I like that.
Best friends, just the 2 of us.
I used to
literally
enjoy the Kramer of crypto, but now I'm not so sure.
I think it's a fair evaluation. I mean, he is also pumping his own bags through that,
Yeah, of course. By the time you hear it from him, it's too late normally. So
yeah. And if I'm not mistaken, I think he got a little wrecked in Celsius as well. Yeah, I think he says he didn't, but I'm pretty sure he did. behind the scenes. So now, if he did get wrecked for a big sum, he needs to make it back. Maybe that's why he's becoming desperate and starts talking about Richard. This is a conspiracy theory, by the way.
Love conspiracy theories in here, my friend. They don't like facts that much, like theories.
Facts are toxic.
Yeah, get out of here with that shit.
So what do you think? Hex bouncing off 5 again? Are we heading to 5.5, 6? It's looking got some resistance areas.
Here, Top Cat will have his meal in this place.
You having 3 eggs?
Top Cat's meal in this place. That's not Top Cat. Top Cat is behind the camera. I'll have my meal on this place.
We can't see it. Are you filming?
Top Cat will have grilled fish, like a proper cat. Grilled fish.
Sprinkled with salted Bitcoin. So do you think Pulsechain's going to have a bounty? And does Hex have a bounty? A hack bounty?
It wouldn't do any good. Code's immutable. Can't change anything.
So we're waiting for changes in Pulsechain.
Well, I
And
was
Richard said,
speaking in regards to HEX, right? So having a bug
right.
bounty program for HEX, trust me, people have tried to hack HEX. The contract's not
True.
all that difficult, but it's immutable and unchangeable. So having a bug bounty program would be pointless.
Can they see the coin code and copy it?
I think you can. I'm not sure. I think you can see the code, but it's not open source, so you can't take it.
Hey Jesse, I'm in here. I got
Mhm.
a comment on that. So the actual contract itself that shows the functions is available, but there's a lot of code on the back end that was put into the development of HEX during the deployment that's actually not. So it's actually only partially available to be viewed. So
Right.
it can't, like, it's one of the things that makes it so it's really hard for people to clone it, like, exactly, because there's a lot of code that the developers put into the development that actually isn't a part of the actual functioning of it on the blockchain. Because the people could comment on that like 2 days ago, right? And one of the devs was like, "What code do you need?" Like, well, not all of it's available.
Right. So now on Pulsechain, they're doing the same thing. They're hiding brand new coding. They don't want anybody to copy. But Richard said there's always going to be bugs.
Yeah, chains go through updates continuously.
Right. So
Every
I'm just saying
blockchain
he should launch a little sooner than later. I'm just saying
No,
because
not necessarily.
okay.
No, because if you launch now, they would have a critical flaw in it where you could have a denial of service attack. Somebody just spams the network with transactions and literally freezes it, right? So that would be a horrible launch, and it would wreck the price because everyone would lose faith and confidence, and it would go to zero, and it would be horrible. It would be a bad idea to launch right now until that's fixed.
Yeah,
Right.
I mean, so yeah, I mean, if you guys understand exactly like what it is that they're fixing, because I generally have a good idea.
Isn't it
Right.
validations they're having a little
No,
problem with?
so here's what it is. So they
What?
made it so system transactions are feeless, so there's no fee, and when you interact with validators and like slashing is actually put inside of the EVM, so meaning that those are transactions inside the blocks, and because they're feeless, an attacker could basically do a bunch of, I don't know, slashes and do a bunch of validator, like adding validation or whatever. And because it's so cheap, they could just put so many of those like transactions with bots that they could actually fill up the entire block, like every block. They could just fill every block up with system contract or system transactions, and then no users will be able to add any like transactions into the block space. So that by removing that out, then now they're putting that load onto the servers and not inside the EVM. That's like generally like what they're talking about. Specifically, of course, right? I don't know exactly because they're not really saying exactly what they're doing, but generally speaking, that's kind of what they're doing.
Right, for the attack surface,
Yeah,
because it could just flutter. It could just fill them up in an instant.
Yeah, you wouldn't be able to
Lock it.
do anything on the chain like the normal
Right.
users. That was a great explanation, by the way. But the next question you had, like, chains are not smart contracts, right? A smart contract, you can launch immutable and it does never have to be changed. Of course, there's smart contracts that are not immutable. They can be updated and changed. Most people in this community like to avoid those. But the chain itself and all the software to run it, which is like hundreds of thousands of lines of code. That's always getting updated. Every month or few weeks or whatever, Ethereum always goes through these EIPs, which is like an update where they do something. They change some lines of code. They make it a little more efficient. They clean up some code. They make it run a little smoother. Blockchains all go through this constantly. There's bugs that are found that are fixed. You know, that's just going to happen. That's just how it is.
Yeah, I mean, the updates have to be. It's required because hardware changes over time. Like we're not going to be running all the clients aren't going to be running on the same hardware today, even in 5 years from now. So there's some small adjustments in the code for the client to function on new hardware. Yeah. I mean, soft forks are always going to happen, so people don't understand that, which is exactly what you said. But yeah, I mean, it's required that they do updates so that we can maintain the clients on adjustments in hardware at the very least. And that's not even a bug. That's just like literally like just software development. I mean, I'm actually very happy that they're doing these. Well, intellectually, like emotionally, I'm very devastated that we haven't launched Pulsechain. But intellectually, I'm very happy that they're doing this change to make this change before we launch, because it'll make it like so much easier and less likely that we're going to have this huge problem. Because doing a hard fork and moving this data and changing the consensus mechanism on the fly like Ethereum's doing would be just a nightmare. Doable, of course, everything is doable, but why not fix the problem if you know about it already? I just came online because I saw more than 8 people on voice chat for the first time in a month.
Number go up.
Yeah, I saw that.
Sorry, Gammon, didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying, yeah, I saw that yesterday. Went up a cent, which is, number go up, number go down. I mean, one thing that Richard said, right? He said that they are creating a bot to attack the network in private, which to me alludes to the fact that the developers have finished I mean, I'm just guessing here. Obviously, I just want to say that complete just speculation that they're actually done doing the work that they said they were doing, and now they're actually testing the network and fixing any issues they find, because otherwise they would, I'm like, how far are they in the process, right? And we're all just guessing, but they have been working for months on this migration of the EVM like system contract code, taking these system contracts transactions outside of the EVM and into the hardware outside, into the guess, I don't know, whatever. And then you're like, if they're working on DDoS in the network, then at least that's like progress for me without really any information. At least we're making progress. So I'm like happy about that. And they're not really saying any real updates, which is kind of annoying, but obviously no expectations. But any technical update would be awesome for me to hear.
Yeah, I love when he goes into a bit more details. Even though, of course, doesn't have to, but every now and then he talks about what they're actually working on, which I find very valuable.
Yeah, I mean, you just like, okay, they are making progress. They're not telling us exactly what progress they're making. They're not giving us like a play-by-play. Like, great, but they're making progress. Awesome.
I mean, I don't need to be in the stand-up meetings, but to know the approximately what they're working on, to kind of estimate how complex it really is great. Because when I hear rewrite, I generally go like, okay, that's gonna see you in a couple of months, maybe. When I hear we're developing a denial of service mechanism, which they could probably just use an existing one and adjust it to Pulsechain. Then I'm like, okay, could be, if that's the last thing they're working on, which of course I don't know, then could be a bit closer.
Yeah, I just remember like,
Toby, finish your Bialy and get back to us. We don't want you to choke.
No, like I remember 2 months ago when I sent a tweet out that apparently just destroyed everyone's like souls about, hey, they're doing this rewrite. It's probably going to take a while. And I just said a while, like define a while. I don't fucking know. And then everybody lost their fucking mind. And now we're like 2 months later, 2.5 months later, and we haven't launched it. It seems like a while happened. So I don't know why everyone's panties were in a bunch when I fucking just literally said like the most conservative estimate would be, hey, they're moving the code outside of the VM, right? They're making these changes. It's probably gonna be a while. So, that's a thing. I'm like, okay.
Well, you did that on Twitter, so what do you expect?
Yeah, that was my first mistake. I'm sorry. I don't make that mistake anymore. So there you go. I learned my lesson.
No, go for it, man. I think anything that induces controversy is great for Pulsechain. Always. People might disagree, but I like it.
That's what's funny is it wasn't even controversial. It's just everybody lost their fucking minds. It was hilarious. And like all day, I'm getting all these notifications like, what the fuck is happening right now? I don't even know. And then whatever, but it was funny.
Honestly, I'd much rather see your content on Twitter than most of the shit that I'm seeing.
Well, I mean, I hope to have some really good content if there's actually something to fucking talk about. So if we launch,
you could talk. Here's a thing. I mean, I can do it as well, but I don't have an engineering background. But you could educate people on Twitter about why the ETH2 merger isn't a big deal for Pulsechain whatsoever, because it's not necessarily going to fix gas fees. And that's a really easy one to explain.
Oh, I do that constantly, like every few days, and then I get some reactions to it. But like that's like an every 2-day kind of a tweet for me, because it always comes up constantly, and you're like, guys, And then now, like the developers because the merge is getting so much closer, that the actual developers wrote up a article specifying exactly the thing that Richard has been talking about, that I've been talking about for a fucking year about gas prices and like all this shit. And they wrote up themselves talking about like debunking. So that because they want
you
to
mean
set
the misconceptions section on the Ethereum Foundation, or?
Yeah. I was like, they're trying to set expectations because of course they don't want to get fucking roasted at the stake. They don't want to get burned at the stake when the merge happens. And they will, because everybody's like, they don't understand like exactly what's happening, but they're doing their best to like inform everybody of the actual reality. And there's nothing wrong with the actual reality because the merge is literally phase 1 of Ethereum 2.0, and it sets the stage for the consensus network and the execution environment, which is the full nodes, to work in tandem and get rid of the miners so that they can add sharding, which is effectively the execution environment of ETH 2.0 is the full node, and sharding is literally taking the full capacity of a full node, like the network as it sits right now, and multiplying that by like 63 more times, and then connecting each one of those full capacity Ethereum chains to the beacon node so that the entire network can stay in consensus. And like that will take like, I don't know, at least 5 years probably.
Yeah, a couple
and
of years.
I'm not even sure.
They're saying themselves 23, 24, 2023, 24. But when they say X, you should add X plus 1, 2 years.
No, yeah, they said 3 years. So I'm saying minimum 5. And if it takes 10, then I wouldn't be surprised. But maybe 5 or 6 is more realistic. And even Vitalik last year, that last year, Vitalik said 6 years. So even on his estimate a year ago, we're 5 years away. So 5 years seems like a pretty fucking good estimate considering, we don't fucking know. But it's a hard problem to fix. And I'm like pro Ethereum here, great. I just know that Pulsechain will exist for like 5 years before they fix gas fees at all. And they fix capacity at all. And Ethereum network is going to be completely redesigned. That's what the process of doing, right? Completely redesigning their network on the fly. And so that's going to take a long time. Well, in the meantime, hey, we can all transaction Pulsechain. I'm all good with that.
Yeah. I just posted a tweet about that article you're talking about where they mentioned that it's not going to affect the gas prices.
Yeah, it's like a known thing.
Traffic. There's one single Ethereum lover in there who's a hater. Who's like, well, why would anyone want to use Pulsechain? There's other chains. It's like, well, I don't think you realize
money.
What's happening. Like we went back and forth in the thread for a while, and then I was like, listen, you're going to use Pulsechain.
Yeah, did you ask him if he ever did a free airdrop?
I didn't ask him that, but I kind of closed out with that. I said, listen, you're going to use Pulsechain. You're not going to be able to stop yourself from putting in the network settings and then seeing all the things that you currently hold over on Pulsechain and going to swap or do whatever you want to do with them. You're not going to be able to resist. So I'll see you on Pulsechain.
I mean, that's one of the genius things that we've all been talking for like a year is like, okay, the most diehard haters of Pulsechain are going to use Pulsechain. If even for 15 minutes, literally everyone will be forced to use it.
Yep. Welcome, everybody here. Feel free to dump. We don't care.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping that there's going to be a bunch of random ERC20 tokens that are ERC20 tokens dumped for Pulse. Please do.
And it's going to be more than 15 minutes of exposure because, especially in the beginning, there's going to be only the bridge. Maybe there will be exchanges immediately. Who the fuck knows? You're gonna have to do a bit of shenanigans. PRC settings, bridge, maybe even exchange.
Yeah, I mean, but even people who are going to be anti-Pulsechain are going to use it, and then, or if they're neutral, that's even better. I mean, we all know it's going to happen, so it's like whatever.
Best thing is, a bunch of people dox themselves with their Ethereum wallets, and if any of those are holding any kind of ERC20 after the fork, and they didn't do anything with it on the Pulse side, you can fucking message them. Look, free money, man.
Yeah, there is a lot of them. I mean, you can go to the Pulsechain Explorer and go, oh, really? Look at those transactions on Pulsechain. Welcome to the fold.
I'm planning on doing that. I have a couple of wallets that I'm looking at. I mean, I don't know what they will be holding after the fork, after the mainnet goes live, but I'm assuming with whatever they have now, they'll have then. And I'll be sending them screenshots of hopefully with a US dollar value attached to whatever token they're holding. You're like, what's up with that? You don't want it?
Yeah, I mean, like even the most diehard haters of Pulsechain, it's in their financial interest just to dump whatever ERC20 tokens they have, like PRC20 tokens, and just own Pulse. Like even if they're a diehard hater, it's like, yeah, there you go. Here's the money. Fine. Become a holder of my asset. I'm cool with that.
Hey, Toby, have you finished your? I'm detecting a tuna fish sandwich wrapped in aluminum foil. You've got mayonnaise all over your chin. Hope you've cleaned yourself up and cleared your palate, had a nice ginger ale to wash it down, and come back to us.
Yes. Let's just say it's mayonnaise.
It's mayonnaise.
Yeah. So like in this in the dark times before Pulsechain launch, I recommend everyone go to the beach and have a vacation. You know, it's recommended. I'm actually sitting here with watching my kids in the pool at the hotel. And you know what I mean? Like
Right.
save your energy for when Pulsechain launches.
Yeah, I saw one of your posts where it looked like you had your feet kicked up, relaxing in the sand.
Yeah, my sons are learning how to do the bodyboard thing on the beach, and they're old enough now where I can sit in a chair and like drink, you know, beer and like just like read a book, and I don't have to like hover over them, making sure they don't drown, you know, because they know how to swim and they're old enough that they're just hanging out. So it's like pretty awesome.
For them rip currents.
Make sure they got those striped bathing suits so they don't get bitten by a shark.
Oh yeah, well, it's not like I'm that hands off, but they're not going that far out. And sharks, well, I hope that doesn't happen. I did see a news story before I came down here along the Florida coast of shark attacks in the last few weeks. So, but I'm like, I guess we're risking it. It isn't like we're going scuba diving with sharks or whatever. You know what I mean? We're not
Yeah,
doing
yeah,
deep sea diving.
but I'm serious. Seriously though, those striped bathing suits you can get on eBay, Amazon. They are proven to deter sharks because it appears like your kids are, you know, filled with venom because usually those black and white stripes tell sharks maybe that's not good to eat, and it decreases, I think, by 60% that they'll actually come and take a nibble.
Now that's you learn something new every day. I'd never heard that. That's good stuff.
Yeah, I'd never heard of that either.
Yep, it's true. I got striped suits for my daughter and my son last time we were in Hawaii, and not an issue. And it was in waters that were known to be frequented by tiger sharks, so it's all good.
Yeah, I'll keep that in mind. We're planning maybe to go to Hawaii next year, sometime in the summer. Perhaps that maybe we can make that happen. First time.
Yeah, man.
You're also statistically more likely to get sucked in by a rip current than get nibbled on by a shark. So maybe rather look up how to detect the rip current visually.
Of course.
Yeah, that's literally the thing that I worry about. When I'm looking at them and I'm going, okay, what's the likelihood of this rip current like in this vicinity? And then keep an eye on this stuff.
Yeah, you can't be too cavalier with sipping beer and thinking your kids are old enough. You should really be in with them.
They should really be serving you the beer.
Exactly.
They should
right.
be the rip current. Also, are there lifeguards where you are?
No, they're not.
Yeah, keep an eye on them.
Yeah, we have these. I got these little chairs to sit like on the beach, so I'm like facing them. It's not like I'm like.
You mean
You know what I mean?
a beach chair? You've discovered beach chairs? That's awesome.
Yeah, I did for the first time. I've never been allowed to use them before, so I had to discover them recently.
Hey, where are you guys at in Florida?
Yeah, we're like in the Destin area.
Oh yeah, I love Destin, the Gulf. It's a great place. Definitely, if you guys can, go hit up Crab Island while you're there. I don't know. I've been taking my kids to Destin for years, and for some reason it seems like you just don't see as many sharks as you do on the Atlantic side. But man, a couple 100 yards off the coast, and if you ever see an aerial view, you'll just see hundreds of sharks out there hanging out.
Yeah, we're actually gonna do we're actually gonna be doing a helicopter ride with the Timberwolf, whatever helicopter company, this afternoon. So we're gonna be like going in a helicopter along the coast for, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes, 10, 20, 30 miles or whatever. So we'll see what's going on with the beach.
Yeah, for sure. That's a blast. We did that years ago when the girls were still pretty little. But anyway, it's a great time over there, man. Enjoy it.
That, or we discovered going to decent places with snowboarding in the wintertime too. Go to Winter Park last year. Plan again this year. Maybe go to Vail or one of the other places like in a couple of years, and just starting to do the vacation thing, which is kind of nice.
Yeah, for sure. It's nice when you can go. We've kind of had my wife's in medical school and she graduates the end of the summer. Thank God for that. So we've been kind of on hiatus for vacation, other than a few weekend trips or maybe 3-4 day trips here and there.
Yeah, I mean, if you got the time and you got the money, then you definitely got to do that kind of thing. Because we got to do the Disney cruise thing. We got to go to the Disney parks like at least one time. Like there's like all these like lists of like going to the national park, going to the Grand Canyon, going to Yellowstone, going to the Disney places, going on a Disney cruise. Like there's like a whole list of like family stuff that I got to fit in the next say 10 years.
Yeah, I mean, my two oldest ones are to the point. One just got married, so all that time has passed, and luckily we were able to do a lot of those big family vacations, and we used to take probably 3 a year, and it was great. But now everybody's kind of doing their own thing, or in college or whatever, and you miss those opportunities. Anyhow, so I was on here a little while ago, and I heard that there was at least an explanation as to why things were delayed even longer, which is fine. I mean, I'm okay with it, but it is helpful to hear, that there's a reason, instead of just keep waiting. Hey, keep waiting, guys. Not saying that we're looking for it to launch immediately, so that whatever happens, but just the psychology of, okay, why are we waiting? People start, getting doubts and things like that. But for me, I wasn't really introduced to the whole Richard Hart experience, we'll say, until I built a house for a customer. My customer was talking me into it. Well, not talking me into it, talking me through it. Because I have my hangups on crypto, still very new to crypto. So I did not get to sacrifice for Pulsechain. Did some for HEX, and have been dropping more into HEX, but luckily, he kind of helped me see the light, and I did make it in for several other of the newer projects, sacrifice phase, that is. But it just helps to hear good explanations so that we have an understanding of why we're still waiting on whatever. I don't even know if that's clear for me to say it that way, but just being vague.
No, I mean we understand exactly why. We don't know the exact how. We know generally how, but we know the why, which has been very clear about the why, and it's just taking a long time.
Yeah, because quite honestly, I know this is way more complex than most any of us, 99% of us, even realize how complex the software is. And the last thing any of us want is for a bad product to be put out and people just don't adopt it, or people start running from it. I don't know which would be worse.
I mean, effectively, what Richard's trying to do is he's trying to not have a Solana issue. You know how Solana goes down like every fucking week because they have a DDoS attack like constantly? Like, our devs and Richard understand there's a potential problem with DDoS attacks because of the system changes, the way the system is structured. So they can fix those before we launch, and then they can mitigate any possible known issue with that particular problem of like freezing of the chain. So just take care of that before we launch, right?
Yeah, for sure. And that's my whole point is, I would rather it be delayed instead of putting out a bad product. But, I don't follow it as closely as I should probably, to be quite honest with you. But it's still, I think it helps everybody to hear, hey, here's what's going on, instead of, hey, we're waiting, it's going to be delayed again. Okay, well, why? Because if people can understand the why, then they can get behind it.
Yeah, as long as you're following Richard on Twitter or on Telegram, Hex News, at Hex News is his announcement channel, his only announcement channel, by the way, you are absolutely not missing anything, because I'm following, like, I'm in the Git lab, I'm getting the development, public development, I'm getting all the emails, I'm in the dev chat, I'm everywhere you can be, and there's literally no information coming out of the devs. It is a like closed hold, super top secret, like operation. So literally the only information we have is from Richard. So as long as you're paying attention to his live streams, his Twitter account, X News, Telegram, then you're already up to date on everything that's actually happening. Because like at this point, it's incredibly easy to stay informed. You just just follow Richard and you're like informed. There is no secret like groups that anybody's in that's like public. There's like one group that I'm not in, and that's Pulse Planning. And I've been told by many people there's actually no information in there of like anything that's a public group. Well, it's not a public group, but it's like a private group, but it's not like a group that has like information that everybody else doesn't have. Like nobody has any additional information. Literally, like, it's all public if it's public, or if it's super secret, top secret, if they're not talking about it. And there's no in between. So they don't feel bad about not being like in the chat every day.
Yeah, for sure. I know when it, I don't want to say when it was originally supposed to launch, but when it was predicted to originally launch, kind of in that fall time frame, as it were, as I recall, it sometime around the fall last year. We were all just kind of, waiting and watching. At least the folks like me that were not in the original sacrifice phase. So I was sitting there, just kind of terminology, I guess, is dry powder, waiting on go. And then it kind of became, okay, there's a delay, and maybe it's bad on my part, but I just have not been following it as much. Although I do get the updates anytime Richard sends something out, will pop up on my phone, and I can just quickly look at it, see, hey, what are we going to do? It's curious though, for you guys that have been more involved with his products and his kind of launches. I mean, does he typically give like I don't know, a 24-hour notice, 12-hour notice, or is it like instantaneous? Hey guys, it's on.
Well, his prior release was HEX. That's a smart contract. That was in development for over a year, between a year and 2 years. And because it had to be deployed to the Ethereum network, there was literally like a 2-week, hey, we deployed the contract to the Ethereum network. It'll go live on December 3rd, right, at like UTC 000, and like then it went live. So like there literally was like a heads up because the smart contract had to be deployed on Ethereum for it to launch. In this regard, for Pulsechain anyway, they literally could just one day we could wake up and then say, oh crap, it's live, with no warning. Or he could give a warning of a day or a week or whatever, I don't know. Because this is a blockchain network, he could literally like they pick a block height of the Ethereum fork. They do the AMM bot. They they bootstrap the network. They take all the liquidity from Uniswap and SushiSwap. They deposit in PulseX. They do all that stuff in private, and then they release the RPC settings so that the community, you and I, can access the network. And it's literally like, how long does that take? A day or two? But we don't actually, you and I don't actually need to know the developers doing any of that work beforehand. Because there's nothing we can do anyway until we get the RPC settings to get the network, right? So nobody knows how much forewarning we're actually going to have, if at all any. Possibly we have some, but it's all speculation. If we get a day's notice, do we get a week's notice? Do we get no notice at all? No idea. So we'll see. I'm kind of hoping that like just one day I get see in my Twitter feed that Richard says it's live, and I go, oh shit, it's live, awesome, and then there we go. But maybe we get some type of like notice. No idea.
Yeah, for sure. But you would think for, price appreciation or marketing, whatever, that he would put out, hey guys, it's going live. It's telling everybody on Monday, it goes live on Wednesday, just so people can kind of vamp up and be ready and all that. But yeah, I completely understand. It could just be instantaneous. Hey guys, it just went live, or he could give notice. I like to think, in my mind anyway, I would like to think for guys in my position, right? I did not sacrifice, so I'm kind of anxiously waiting. So for guys like me, I would like to think that he would say, okay, it's been delayed all this time. However, it goes live on the 20, whatever thing it might be. And I hesitate to even say a date, because somebody might be listening in saying, oh my gosh, this guy just said it's going live on whatever day, and start freaking out on that.
No, don't worry. There have been plenty of people who are like high profile people in the fucking community that have done that, and they've been wrong every single time. So I'm like, why do people do that to themselves? I have no idea why.
Well, while we're speculating, we can talk about the potential pros and cons, like benefits or downsides of having a announcement, whether it's 24 hours, 1 week, or not. And I'm talking about benefits for Pulsechain, not necessarily the people who are going to use it, if that makes any sense. So I would say one of the downsides could be if they do announce a specific date, right? Let's say, oh, well, in 2 weeks, which that would be the biggest troll ever. But again, let's say they try to go live, but something goes wrong on that day for whatever reason, right? Like it doesn't actually happen on that day because of some hiccup, right? It's a new chain, something could happen. It would be better if they didn't announce anything and just tried it. And then if it did work, they were like, okay, yep, it's live, works. Right? That would be one of the benefits, in my opinion, not to announce it. I don't know if there's other benefits not to announce it, like giving nobody else the opportunity to do some weird stuff, like developing some bots to buy up stuff. I don't know. I think you probably anyways can't beat the AMM bot because they'll just have privileged information anyway, but who knows, right? You don't want to give people ample time to develop some weird bots and stuff. But I'm just speculating, right?
No, I mean, for the bot thing, we have the chain ID, we have the URL is known. This stuff's known since September. Literally, like for months and months and months and months, it's known. The link, the URL, the chain ID, it's effectively just like Ethereum. And then so the only thing you don't have is the PulseX contract. And then you can plug those in when we launch, and a bot could be functional within minutes, technically, as long as if the developers are doing their work on testnet, which all developers should be on testnet doing development, then a bot that did like literally anything on mainnet could already be functional on testnet, and you copy and paste in the new chain ID, the new URL, PulseX router contracts. Like, you know what I mean? Those contracts would be like
but all
deployed
things take
after.
time, right? So if you know the exact block height, then you would be prepared and could try to beat something. But if you don't, then there's not even a point in developing anything because you're just not gonna know.
No, what I'm saying is you do all the development beforehand, and then you can just copy and paste and then restart your bot, and then shit works within 5 minutes of like there being like a live network. Yeah, it'd be super easy for somebody to build a bot.
You get my point. Like, if you don't know the block height, meaning no announcement, you'll be late either way, right? If you find out after they launch, then it doesn't matter. You can't beat anything.
Yeah, I'm just saying that doesn't even really matter. But yeah, I mean, here's the thing. So a lot of people have got scammed out of their seeds. So they're scammers. Well, actually, I don't want to talk about it. It's like, I don't know. Well, I don't know. You talk about simple shit, And you're like, well, do scammers know about this simple stuff? I'm like, probably, about how they can create a bot and have everything pre-done, and they just plug in the URLs, and like literally, like as soon as they could query the chain ID and the URL for the live network every 5 minutes, and then as soon as the chain ID comes on, then like it runs the bot, and they can like move everybody, like everybody who's scammed literally could like have all the shit stolen off of Pulsechain. You know how people have gotten their seeds stolen and they've gotten their crypto stolen on Ethereum, and now everyone's trying to race to move their stuff on Pulsechain to new networks. Like if these people are sophisticated enough, they can create a bot like right now, and they can fucking do that, where they can just take all that money. Like that's an incredibly simple thing to do. Like I don't even consider myself a developer, and I can fucking write that bot with open source tools, right? And put a loop where it would query the chain ID, and it would just run like whenever whenever it came back with the 200, code, and then like it's good to go, right? That's not incredibly difficult to do, but yeah, I mean it's development, man. These open source tools, Web3 development, because Pulsechain is just like Ethereum, and all these tools already exist. It'd be super easy. But I mean, I think it'd be. I don't think we're gonna get any warning. I don't think there's actually much upside for Richard and the development team to pre-announce it, and then nothing but downside if they pre-announce it and then something happens and they have to delay it even for a day. I literally just think it'd be, why would they want to announce it? What reason is there even?
Continue. Carry on.
No, I thought you were going to say something.
Yeah, taking development of something malicious aside, other downsides, I don't know, I'm just thinking top of my head, right? Much like any attack vector, even if it's for you personally, what would be like a attack surface for it? If you, let's say 2 weeks from now, you have an exact block height, what potentially could malicious actors like phishing scammers and all kinds of whatever other people do prepare? Like they could pretend on that specific minute, time, whatever, oh, that this is us, right? They could take away some of the hype. I don't know, just thinking out loud.
Yeah, I mean, other than like say like the actual scam, like they discounting that, like if we actually had like a actual block height before it launched, then you have like price manipulation, people were buying assets at the dump right after, and they're playing those games. So you can slightly mitigate that, but not really, but kind of as best possible mitigate that kind of issue by like literally like not saying the block height until after it's live. So those short-term games aren't played as much.
No. I'm trying to think of preventing people to get wrecked. So if you're giving out information, you're giving it out to everybody, right? You're giving it out to bad actors. And the question is, what privilege? Well, it's not privilege because they are among many who have this information, but what are you giving them, right, that they can use? And what they can use is potentially stealing users in one way, shape, or form, or even temporarily misguiding them and saying, this is our chain, right? And in fact, it's actually bullshit, and they get wrecked. They click on the wrong button. So if you don't announce and just say once it's live after and say, here, there it is, then you don't really give them the opportunity to prepare anything. Unless they are already prepared and you like you said, they just try to do this loop thing, but I don't think phishing would work in that way.
Well, honestly, I think we've had so much time due to the delays that there's already people out there that are waiting and ready for this to go live and have the I don't even know the right terminology, but maybe it's the coin or whatever the network is that looks very similar to Pulsechain, but isn't exactly Pulsechain. It's something that they've already been working on, developed, created, and it doesn't matter when it goes live. they just push it out. Again, I don't have the knowledge or expertise to even think of what all could go wrong. But there's always going to be scammers. Let's face that. There's always going to be thieves out there, whether we like it or not. We can't do anything about it.
Exactly.
On the pro side of life, I'm thinking, okay, there again, guys like me that are anxiously waiting because we missed out on the sacrifice and have had time to really learn more and see some of the past performances and things like that. And let's face it, I don't care what kind of Hexakin you are or whatever it is, we're in it for the money. I know the whole, it's, no expectation of anything off of someone else's work and all that stuff, but why else are we here? So in my mind, in my opinion anyway, it makes a lot of sense to announce, a few days before. Maybe it's not a long lead time. Maybe it's 12 hours. Maybe it's 24 hours. I don't know. Hey, it goes live at 6 p.m. tonight, and he's announcing it at noon. I don't know. But that just gives everybody an opportunity to say, hey, when this thing goes live, I'm going to be sitting here waiting on go. And after all this influx of people, buying into Pulsechain or how we want to make that statement, it's just going to drive the price up that much faster. And that's my
I think
logic.
a 24-hour window announcement could be possible, but anything much longer than that, I highly doubt. And also, again, thinking just in terms, right, you have to put yourself in Rich's shoes. Like, what benefit is there to announce ahead of time? Like, specifically, think of actionable points that you can use for the good of Pulsechain, right? To announce it. Is there a downside to just launch it and then say, "Oh, looks like it's working, it's live. Hello." Well, I guess one of them would be you might disadvantage a group, some of your users, like some of them that are sleeping, right? Maybe they wanted to do something, they'll be disgruntled. I don't know if that's a huge downside. Maybe if you gave them a 24-hour warning, they could at least, prepare themselves if they want to dabble in the early hours, which personally I'm not going to, but I definitely think some people will, and it's their right.
I think we're already disgruntled enough, so I don't think we really need to worry about that.
Yeah.
I mean, there's the technically, which is really the only thing I can really talk to you guys about, like with any certainty, is like literally there's a block height. Then the developers have to do actions to bootstrap the network, do the AMM bot, extracting the tokens from the Uniswap pool and the Uniswap pool, and then they put that into PulseX and deploy PulseX and all that stuff. And that's going to take some time.
Well, if they do have to do manual actions during this particular moment, right, during that block, unless you're saying they can prepare it or like semi-automated, whatever, just by pressing a button, then the only thing that could potentially go wrong is, I don't know, internet goes down or just temporarily not available, and it'll just be late.
Well, here's the deal: is like the public RPC settings and the public release of the code for the validators to actually sync up to go online would have to happen after it's already live, right? There's no pre-doing that. So block height happens, they fork the network, right? Like at certain blocks, they run the automated code. It's obviously automated, but then it takes time to do transactions and stuff. How long is it? 4 hours, 6 hours, 12 hours? Who knows? Like how long it actually takes the developers to bootstrap the network and then do all the functions for AMM bot, deploy PulseX, right? Like do all that stuff. And then during that whole time, the RPC settings are not publicly available. Like they're literally blocked from everybody to use it, except for the developers. And then when they're ready, the developers literally just do a setting in Nginx or Apache, change a switch, and then now it's publicly available. And that could be 12 hours later, a day later, or whatever.
Gotcha. So technically, again, just talking from potential downsides, if they give an exact block height, time, whatever, people could get G'd, or whatever the word is, peeved, because there could be delays after the fact. A couple hours, maybe a day, which I don't know. I don't see it as a downside, but you know, some people might.
I mean, since we're just speculating on how it's going to go, we'll see how he actually handles it. But I mean, I honestly don't see them pre-announcing it, other than maybe a hint. I'm saying it's getting close. Maybe that's the best we can do. It's like, hey, it looks like we're almost ready to go. Maybe perhaps that is the most I could expect. And then one day waking up and then it's live.
Now we can talk about very quickly the benefit to users, us. With Hex, I remember there was an announced time, date, block, whatever, and I used that to just load up on some Bitcoin and dump it right after so that I could get a copy. I could do the same with Ethereum or with an ERC20 token. Just put in all my money into some random token, sell it a couple minutes, hours later. That would be a benefit for a user, I guess, if I know the exact height.
Yeah, I mean, we're not going to know the exact height until afterwards. I can, as assured as I possibly can be without actually knowing, I know that we're not going to have an actual block height before it's live.
Because
Well,
a day will do for me, right? If I know the approximate day or like a couple of hours, then it's fine. Like I'll just buy some whatever, I don't know, some shitcoin or hex or whatever, and then just get a copy and dump it after.
Yeah, any. Yeah, go ahead, man.
Sorry about that, man. I thought you were done. Forgive my ignorance, but when you say block height, do you mean the length of the chain currently when it launches, or
the block number? There's a chain of blocks, literally blockchain, right? And each block has a number. And in Ethereum, you can look at it right now. You just type in Ethereum block height right now. It will tell you the ID or the number of the block. And it's usually, you can predict sort of approximately by the minute or whatever when that will be in the future, because the approximate time it takes for each block.
Yeah, because in Ethereum, it's like 13, 14-second blocks. We're at like 14 million something blocks right now. And then Chain, the block height of the fork was 14,100,000, blah, 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 or whatever. That's all we're saying, block number.
Gamma, didn't you make a copy of Ethereum block thingy? What was it called? The Pulsechain?
Yeah, the netstats. Yeah, it's PLS netstats.com is the dashboard. It just shows the current block height, transactions. It's netstats, but for Pulsechain.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks. Yeah, so
yeah, it's
there
running.
you can
I'll run it.
You can see all that. I mean, it's Pulsechain version of it, but I guess you can do the same for ethnetstats.com.
Yeah, I just took their code and then just basically like it's effectively like just took their code, and then I had some help from Jay, who's the developer, to add in how long the epochs are. Like Like every day, there's like 28,800 blocks per day, and that's the validators are reset every once a day per epoch, and so then I was a countdown, and then like the website just functions and has like that addition. So, but it's effectively
That's
just
great.
like a copy of net stats. I didn't see that like as a thing that we had, so I just did it, and so I'll run it on mainnet.
Yeah, it's great. So to the guy who asked, you can go to ethstats.net. That's the Ethereum version of that. And at the top left, you'll always see the latest block, or at least the winning block, whatever. So if
Yeah, and then you
you're
can go to PLSnetstats.com is the one that I run.
Is there any advantage for the, you know, the, I don't know, the layman that's not a code writer or programmer or anything like that? Is there any advantage into knowing what those block heights are?
oh yeah, you will know the time. You will know the time almost down in the minute when the fork will take place.
I mean, so like my website shows the status of the network. It shows the average block height of 3 seconds. It shows the current block height. It shows how many transactions are at each block over the last hour or so. And then like it has some really good information on like just the status of the network. So you can like in one go look at the health of the network and say, yeah, everything's working great. And it shows you the gas price in beats, which is usually 2. But if you go up to 5 or 10 or whatever.
Okay, and I'm sorry, man, I didn't catch your website a moment ago. Can you say it again?
It's PLS net stats. So PLS NET STATS period com. The net stats. PLS net stats.com. And it's literally just a dashboard. There's no token. There's like, it's just the fucking website, and it pulls the data directly from my own servers that are full nodes on Pulsechain, and it's the resource for the community. So there you go.
But either way, you don't have to worry about the block height anyways. If there is an announcement and they'll tell a specific block number, block height, they'll obviously tell you what time of day or which day and what time of day that will be anyways. So you don't need to look it up. But yeah, I also highly doubt that they will actually that Richard will give an actual block height, because it will take some time after that, and then it doesn't make a lot of sense. So basically, I would if anything, I would expect like a 24-hour warning and saying, well, it'll be approximately tomorrow afternoon or some shit.
Yeah, that's all I'm asking for. Give me 24 hours. Let me be ready.
Yeah, but
I'm sorry, man. You as soon as you started to say that website address again, somebody called me and I got kicked off. Can you say that one more time?
PLSnetstats.com.
PLStestnet.com.
No, PLSnetstats.com.
Okay.
No, throw in.
All good. Thank you.
Sounds like somebody's hot mic.
Yeah, I think NHEX, do you mute yourself?